On June 27, 2020, police officers responded to a shooting at a home in West Sacramento, California. As officers arrived on the scene, they spoke to a witness who said that they saw 31-year-old Mandico Quadzo arguing with his 23-year-old girlfriend, Carliena Clayton, in the driveway before both got into Carliena's car with her 4 children, 3 of whom she shared with Mandico, and drove off. Later that night, at around 9:30 p.m., a man at Cliffs Marina in Sacramento County reported hearing a gunshot followed by a vehicle plunging into the Sacramento River. The caller, Harold Fisher, had been on his boat nearby and quickly called a friend to ask for assistance to investigate. They saw the vehicle partially submerged in the river and Mandico was standing nearby the car not doing anything to help as his own children slowly started to drown in the vehicle. According to the district's attorney's office, the 2 men found Carliena deceased behind the steering wheel and her 4 children in the back seat. The 2 men pulled the children, who ranged in age from 2 to 6, out of the vehicle to safety. By the time they jumped in to help, the oldest 6-year-old child had already unbuckled all their seatbelts, but the youngest child that was 2 years old was still in the car seat. All 4 children were pulled from the vehicle safely by the 2 men and the brave oldest son. California Highway Patrol officers responded to the scene and found Carliena without a pulse. She also had severe bleeding from her head. Police assumed that Carliena had passed away due to the car crash, but that all changed however when her 6-year-old son informed police that Mandico had shot his mother, causing her to drive off the road. Mandico was taken into custody. It was later determined by the medical examiner that Carliena suffered 2 gunshot wounds to her head. The gun was never located. West Sacramento police later said that officers also discovered evidence of a shooting inside the residence where they first responded to. On July 24, 2024, Mandico was convicted by a jury of first-degree slaying. The jury also found true the allegation that Mandico used a firearm in the commission of the slaying. Mandico was also convicted of being a felon in possession of a firearm. He faces a maximum sentence of 53 years to life in prison. Sentencing is set for September 6, 2024, at 9 a.m. in Department 24 before the Honorable Kenneth Brody. 21-year-old Anggy Diaz and her husband, 23-year-old Jared Dicus, got married in October 2022 at a courthouse in Texas. The judge that married them posted a photo of the seemingly happy couple on his Facebook page. Overall, the couple seemed very happy. Anggy often posted happy photos of them, and in a Christmas photo post Jared commented, "Merry Christmas my beautiful wife, my trophy." But, just a few weeks later, on January 11, 2023, deputies got a call about someone who lost their life near Magnolia, about an hour outside of Houston, Texas. Police arrived at the property that had 2 houses on, a main house and a smaller cabin behind the main house. Jared's parents lived in the main house while Jared and his wife lived in the cabin. Jared's parents were the ones that had called 911 to report the demise at their property. First responder discovered a horrific scene in the cabin where they found Anggy's body, decapitated and dismembered, with numerous stab wounds. The residence was covered in blood. A large kitchen knife was likely the weapon used in this case. The scene was described as gruesome at best by Sheriff Troy Guidry. Jared was taken into custody immediately on a slaying charge and police arrived at the scene and was booked into the local jail. He did not make a statement right away, but later confessed to slaying Anggy. Anggy was originally from Nicaragua. She had been in the United States for about 3 years. According to her friends, she had been working 2 jobs so that she could send money back to Nicaragua to pay for a relative's cancer treatment. This showed what kind of person Anggy was. One of her jobs was at a local Hispanic butcher shop that was also like a convenience store. According to Waller County Sheriff's Office, Jared had a history of domestic violence. 2 months before Jared executed his wife, he was arrested on a DWI charge. Court records show he threatened a police officer and staff at the local jail. After punching windows, he was placed in a restraint chair. Local deputies had also responded to the same property more than once for reports of domestic violence. The same day Jared executed Anggy, he stopped by the butcher shop where Anggy worked. Surveillance footage showed him walking in and grabbing a beer from the cooler. He walked out with his beer without paying for it and started drinking it as he got to his car. This happened just a short while after he ended her life, but before his parents were alerted of what happened. A motive in the slaying was not released by police, but prosecutors said during the pretrial phase of the case, potential mental health issues were raised regarding the defendant's competency to stand trial. But, after a court-ordered examination for competency, Jared was deemed competent. His bond was initially set for $500,000, but District Attorney Sean G. Whitmore argued for a $1 million bond shortly after the slaying. The DA cited Jared's violent history and the seriousness of his latest crime, and a Waller County judge agreed and raised the bond to $1 million. DA Whitmore said in a statement, "Waller County does not tolerate domestic violence. Heinous crimes like this one will not go unanswered. We will seek justice for the victims of domestic violence and send a message to the perpetrators that here, we fight for our victims." Angie's demise was tragic, but her family said they have no room for hate in their hearts. One of Angie's aunts described the support they have received as incredible. Another one of her aunts said Angie was a beautiful light and that's how they will remember her. Her family said her demise isn't a goodbye, instead, it's a see you later when they meet again. Angie's remains will be sent to her home country of Nicaragua, where her family will be waiting for her with open arms. On July 31, 2024, Jared pled guilty to slaying his wife. He was sentenced to 40 years behind bars by District Court Judge Gary Cheney. Jared will not be eligible for parole until 2043.